Do you know what is right? See, I could ask you that, and you could give me a bunch of answers. You could be like, yes, I do know what is right, or no, I don't know what is right. For the most part, I would say a lot of people have their own idea of what is right and what is wrong. A lot of times in life, we find ourselves wanting to fight for the right thing, wanting to do the right thing in life. And that's a great thing. Honestly, I think it's a cool thing. You want to fight for something that's right. You want to do something that is right. That's a really cool concept. You know what I mean? You want to do what is right in the world. You want to do something right, or what you feel is right. Today, I kind of want to just talk about the concept of being woke. A lot of the times, you probably hear this now. Every now and then, you hear people saying, I'm woke, I woke up, stuff like that they're woke, that like they know what's going on. Typically, I want to kind of just go on the subject of what woke is and kind of just like go into a lot of detail of, all right, well, what is woke and what about it is good? What about it is bad? First of all, I want to say that being woke, and this is from a website, being woke is being plugged in and actively aware and involved with the world around you. So pretty much, typically you'll find this out and see, people are pretty decent. They understand the world that's around them, I guess you could say. I will say as well that this is a website I'm looking at. So, however, the world holds a partisan undertone that we usually don't even notice. And if we do, that we probably don't agree with. And see, there we go with the word implies to support a certain viewpoint rather than being the right kind of woke. So I will tell you that you can be socially aware, and it's a viewpoint of being socially aware, kind of typically for a political view. Now, I'm not going to go deep into politics, but I will go into it a little bit to talk on both sides, kind of the deal. I'm not saying I agree with one or the other, but to help reach an understanding. So the information I got here was from thecrimson.com. So it was an article about why I'm not woke, stuff like that. And it's kind of cool. I read some of the article, and it was talking about really just researching yourself. Don't believe other things that you see online, all this kind of stuff. Just don't listen to it just because right now today's world of woke is typically thwarted to a one-sided view rather than an actual full-sided view. This website even goes to say that, like, even if you have a different viewpoint than being the woke person, for example, they sometimes claim that you're even uneducated, and it's a matter of uneducation on why you're not even on that woke side or believing the woke side. And I think that's also kind of messed up too. So that's one big thing I'm adding at the beginning here. It was like, being woke is bad in that sense of saying just because someone doesn't agree with the way you think, it's an uneducation problem. And I think at both sides, if anything, of this kind of viewpoint should be educated in their own ways, not claiming that one or the other is being uneducated. And I just stopped here to kind of add this little segment in of editing. While I was editing, I kind of read more in the article, and I really love what this said here. If you are shaking your head right now, I implore you to pause for a moment. Can you look at yourself and label one single opinion that comprehensively defines your entire identity? I certainly hope not. We should all acknowledge our complexities as individuals and refuse to be defined by a single term. Then we should extend the same courtesy to others. I love that. And then it says here, I refuse to be woke. I don't want to be woke. I don't want to restrict my definition of activism and intelligence to only include those who agree with me politically. I don't like that either. I think this is great. I want to be open-minded and engaged. I want to be informed and passionate. I want to be an advocate and a human being beyond political issues. Maybe we can broaden the definition of woke to include these characteristics from both sides of a political spectrum. But until then, I remain currently unwoke. I love that. Not only that, is this person went against the system. This person literally is saying, I don't want this because it's politically charged. It's not something good. People are labeling other people just because they have a different opinion of politics or something, your viewpoint. And then they're automatically labeling you for one single opinion. one single opinion should not label you as an entire human or something really bad. And I love that. If you want to read more about it, it's the website is called the Harvard Crimson, I think, and it's Why I'm Not Woke by Rami Dolgen. I think that's how I pronounced it. And so I really enjoyed that. It was made in April 6, 2018. I think this was back when woke was really popular, but I wanted to address it now because of certain situations. I'll leave a link in the description on YouTube if you want, and then maybe Spotify and SoundCloud if it's on there. But I definitely will. It's such a cool concept. I really, really love it. And there's more to it that explains more, but what I love about it, it's not politically charged. It says it sees both sides of the situation and says, listen, being woke is bad, and I love that so much. I just had to include this in the editing, so I hope this was helpful, but I really do love that. It's like, hey, if you're denying what I'm saying here, look at yourself. If you're saying that one opinion that you have should define your entire identity, then that's terrible. And they're not even saying anything bad about this. They're basically fence this. They're on the fence in a good way, and I love this. This is a great concept to take in, and I think a lot of other people need to take this concept in. So I will leave this. I'll leave the link in the description of YouTube if you guys want to check it out and see that article. I really love that article. It's super cool and super great. So hope you guys can check it out. It's it's the Harvard Crimson, and it's made by Rami Romy Dolgen Dolgin. It was made on April 6, 2018. Why I'm Not Woke. So please go check it out if you can. What caused me to really want to make this segment is that there are people out here that I've noticed, at least, I sometimes don't, I've dialed back a lot on saying some stuff on Twitter that's kind of like me getting angry, so I will say I'm pretty happy about that. I've been angry a couple times with the stuff I've seen on Twitter, but I've learned to close my mouth, or I guess you could say close my fingers, and I've really gotten to really explore kind of how people act rather than seeing through a blind rage of how people are acting, because I'm not a big fan of how people act in this world. I'm not a big fan of how the world is for the most part. The world, to me, is, it's really good if you see the good, and it's really bad if you see the bad, but there's also hidden bad in a lot of places that need to be shown out. And, that's my goal with this, is to help show some bad places that really need to be brought out. What had really brought my attention to talk about woke is I really wanted to give an idea of, all right, what is one that really speaks to people that says speaking about what is right? Well, today's world, we call it woke. We call it woke as in, you woke up. And I hear that a lot with woke, is like, I woke up. I didn't change, I woke up. And I'll go into more detail on that in a little bit, but I want to talk about mainly what I saw on Twitter, and then I'll dial down into the rest of it. But I saw a thing about speaking about what is right, and I agree. I was like, oh, this is cool. I love this concept, speaking what is right. And nothing hurts me more when I hear about somebody wanting to speak about something that's right just to find out it has some ulterior motive or it's a one-sided view. That hurts me, and that's what happened. Later in the video, I noticed that this person had a one-sided view rather than speaking about the full concept, rather than speaking what is right. Now, I have no hate towards any of the people that I'm talking about, and I won't even bring up their names, just what I saw. And it's honestly painful to see that. It hurts when I see that. I've had one about concept, and I'm using concepts that people use within the quote-unquote woke culture, or the woke society America or online media tends to create. I have no problem if you've done anything like this. If you've done it, I will say that I don't agree with it, but this is what I feel. So there are different concepts that are brought up within the woke area. I'm going to be touching on some dicey subjects, but I'm not going to give my opinion on some political view aspect of it. I have no political bias when it comes to these kinds of things that I'm going to talk about. However, most of the people that I listen to or talk about these subjects typically always have a political bias about it, and it confuses people. I mean, how in the world do you see right and wrong when you only see one side or the other? And that's my concept here. So what the person was talking about was kind of like women being in danger. In honor of International Women Month, I think we should talk about some problems like that. Yes, there are typical cases where women can be endangered by men. All right, that's just how it is. And then the concept of a shark concept brought up. Just because 1 in 10 Americans may be killed by a shark in a shark attack doesn't mean it won't happen. And that's a pretty cool concept. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty decent concept. And then too bad the concept was thwarted by a political opinion or a morality view that only saw one side of the coin. And so I want to tell you all this real quick. To know what is right and to speak what is right, one must know both sides of the coin. If you don't know both sides of the coin and only see that one side of the coin, you're only going to think one side of the world is the right side of the world, and then you're going to be blind to the other half of the picture. Being woke should be opened with both eyes, not with one. And typically, the way the world is right now with woke, you only have one eye open. That's typically what, for most people who claim they are woke or who want to speak about what is right, for the most part, they only have one eye opened. They don't have both of them open. So they sit there and say, oh, I've woken up. But in reality, they're still sleeping, It pains me. And, people don't know that they're doing this. So this is why I'm hopefully making this, get this out there in a way. It's not good to be woke. Not in this world's standard of woke. It's not good to be that. To speak what's right, you need to know the other side of the coin. And no, just to clarify, the post I was talking about where I said that the call to action of to speak what is right, that person was woke in any way whatsoever. I'm just saying that, this is typically the same mentality of the way in that way. But the woke mindset kind of only sees one side rather than both sides of a situation. So in this situation that I mentioned here, that call to action to speak what is right, it was only seeing one side of the subject. So like how I mentioned, for example, and these are subjects I'm only going to bring up, but I'm just going to bring up the aspect that there's another side to the situation rather than bringing up situations that may cause a political dispute, stuff like that. I don't encourage political disputes, or especially if they get heated and angry. I'm perfectly fine with a healthy disagreement with people. That's perfectly cool. But nothing pains me more to see a political argument going back and forth with other people. And so typically what you'll see is within the International Women's Month, stuff like that. And I'll talk about this, but I will tell you guys this. I'm not a big fan of any kind of celebration months, which will be brought up in a future WhizDum Wednesday. For this, people are bringing up this whole idea of women are endangered because men will possibly forcibly integrate with other people or the other women, or it's dangerous on the streets kind of the deal, which I get it. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm also not going to say it's always going to happen. You know what I mean? And I think it's dangerous to say something is always going to happen because of one side of the coin. See, in reality, in this situation, you could say, yes, you shouldn't treat it just like, oh, well, it rarely happens, so I shouldn't be worried at night or something like that. Sure, you could say that, but when it comes to a shark attack, what happens when you dangle a bunch of bloody meat right in front of the shark? You're taunting it to make it more tempted to do it. That's the other side of the coin in that situation. Who's to say if someone's not wearing clothing that could provoke that kind of behavior? That's the other side of the coin. Who's to say out of all the statistics, some of them might have lied? Who's to say all of the statistics or some of the situations, someone might have lied about a certain situation that happened to him, maybe just felt uncomfortable for no reason. There's a lot of different things you have to take into account. You can't just say, oh, this many people said this. Well, sure, this many people said this, but how many people did you interview? How many people have a certain kind of view on by? You can't confirm with this kind of, solution or this kind of situation to think, oh, this is how you do it. It's not a big giant education problem. And a lot of people think, oh, well, if people educated their sons to act better, it'd be a different story. Sure, half of it. Maybe people need to educate their daughters not to lie, not to wear certain kinds of things that are probably going to provoke that kind of behavior. There's a certain sense of modesty people need to have as well. Men and women. Not saying that everybody has to what do you call it, say that women have to cover up sometimes it's men. A good sense of modesty isn't just the clothing you wear, it's the thought about the clothing you wear. If you wear that, you think to yourself, if I wear this, am I going to provoke somebody into an addiction habit, or make entice people to come after me, kind of the deal, you know what I mean? And this applies to men or women. All right, you need to think about these kinds of things, because and what I'm going to wear, is it going to make somebody uncomfortable? No one thinks about, if I wear this, is it going to make someone uncomfortable? If I wear this, is it going to entice somebody? That's the bloody meat thing I'm talking about, the bloody meat concept that applies to that as well. So you really have to understand more than just that one side. That clearly is a thwarted one-side opinion or one-side view. You didn't explore the other idea or the other side of the coin. That's what the problem is. You can't speak about what is right and then expect to say, everyone else should speak up what is right, when you only have one-sided right. What's right and just is understanding both sides of the situation, trying to find a common problem or common issue or a common goal to where you can fix both sides, rather than just only fixing one, making the other one look bad. That's the right kind of way to do it. That's what the problem is with having a woke culture / society, is that you just don't know, because you're told to believe one side or the other instead of looking at both sides to find a common ground solution, Both sides over-exaggerate it. I think if you want to speak about what is right, you need to know both sides of the coin. You need to know, all right, well, this happens on this side, this happens on this side. Let's try to meet the minimal or the middle. And a lot of people don't really get that. They sit there and they only see one side of the coin, and they only talk about that one side of the coin. That is terrible. Typically, you see a lot of things when it comes to racism or things in the country where people are like, man, I cannot agree with this. You do not agree with me, so you are this. And it's disgusting. Don't get me wrong, I love people, and I love the way that, people are, how diverse people are, but you can't sit there and say, you disagree with my ways of thinking, now you're automatically a racist or a sexist or somebody who hates other people. It's not right. It's not right at all. You need to be open to different opinions. You need to be open to different ideas and concepts of life. You can't sit there and say yours is an absolute opinion. Now, if you're a religious person or someone who believes in God, I can completely understand having an absolute opinion on that. I have an absolute opinion in the aspect that I believe God, and everything that he does and everything that is around us is made from God. That's just what I believe. That's just my heart, and that's how I believe things. But an absolute opinion on life, politics, stuff like that, for the most part, it's not good. And it's not great. People sit there and think they're doing good, but they're probably doing more harm than expected. A lot of people only want to do good for their side, but not realize what the other side may need or want. I think it's terrible. I think that both left and right should really come together and be true woke. Because here's the thing, if you're woke in this world standards, you're not doing good in the world. A lot of lies get spread. How do you know if they're true or false when some people are telling you, hey, this is right and this is only right? How do you know? You have many people coming around telling you what's right and what's wrong. You don't even know what's right and what's wrong anymore, do you? See, it's a terrible thing to create, because now you've got people believing things are right when in reality they may not be as right as they thought they were. I see this concept a lot. People try to do the right thing so hard that they end up doing the wrong thing. Maybe you're forcing people, or feel like you should force people to say things that you agree with because, well, if they don't, then you see them as a bad person. You're trying so hard to do the right thing, you're causing wrong situations to happen. You want people to stop saying a certain word, so what you'll do is get angry and start yelling and blood-fit rage at somebody. But in reality, guess what? You're creating a more enticing situation for them to do so like that because of your reaction to it. Having too much control in life is something you can't have. You cannot have happiness while also having control. That will never happen. You cannot have too much control and happiness at the same time. No matter how hard you try in life or how hard you want, things to be happy for you. And I know this is a rough subject for a lot of people, and I'm not saying that your way of life is wrong, but the way of life is wrong when it is a wrong concept of life when you only see one side of that coin. You truly have to see both sides of the coin before you can make a right, level-headed discussion of what is wrong, what is right. There's a very powerful scripture that I really loved. I shared it on Twitter. I'm going to look at it real quick. It's from the Bible. It's 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. See, this is what I truly believe in life and kind of like the time we are in right now. Or it's been like this for a little bit. And I'm not saying, oh, this is some end time kind of stuff like that. But I do feel like the time is getting close to where people aren't listening to sound doctrine anymore. They're just listening to what they want to hear. I've seen plenty of times, and I kind of monitor the way I post on social media. That's just how I am. I don't know if that makes me kind of weird. I hope it doesn't. Also, I'm recording this on Sunday night, so I do have to be a little bit more quiet. So hopefully I'm not too loud or too quiet. But I'm a person that that analyzes kind of how people act. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't necessarily know. But I'm a person who analyzes. I typically like to watch. I watch while I also talk, and while I also post, I watch. I'm a people reader. I like to read people. I don't know if that's necessarily bad or not, but this is just how I've come to figure out things. I've noticed that a lot of people will only like things that they want to hear rather than what they need to hear. I've seen a lot of things that only relate to certain people. They're like, oh, this relates to me, so I will only like this because it relates to me. If you only go by what you want to hear in life, you're never going to find what's truly right and what's true. You're only going to follow the things that make you feel like you're right. Feelings aren't always what you should go for. If you're too scared to hurt someone's feelings, or if you're too scared to go do something or have something in your heart that makes you feel weird about something, and you think it's wrong, sometimes they're right. I know it's odd and it sounds weird. I'll try to reframe the wording on this. Most of the time, everything we need to hear and is truthful is going to hurt. Especially when you realize your heart's been in the wrong place for a long time. That's kind of how I believe woke mentality is. Woke mentality is a heart that's in the wrong place but feels like it's in the right place. I don't agree with that. You have to truly see both sides. A lot of people ignore the other side because, well, this feels better and it looks better on me. One thing I think is true wokeness is being able to say, hey, I'm at fault, I do this wrong. How many woke people really sit themselves and say, you know what, I do wrong. I've done wrong in my life. I guarantee you I probably just sliced them all in half right there, just with that one comment. So now you got half these woke people who say they're woke, but they never admit their faults. They never see themselves as a human. They see themselves as somebody who, oh, I'm some prophet. I know the truth. I know what the truth is. When in reality, they only see what they want to see. You are not somebody who is truly woke or truly awake, I guess you could say, if you only want to see the things you want to see. I know this sounds like, no, I'm not a person who enjoys pain, but I enjoy being wrong. The reason I enjoy being wrong is because, hey, I can improve on that. You can't improve on being right, because guess what? You're pretty much, if you're right all the time, you never improve. You're always going to be right. You're never going to be wrong. You are always going to be wrong at some point. You need to have this honesty within yourself of saying, hey, you know what? I really need to fix this about myself. And however, sometimes other people will try to tell you, you need to fix this about yourself. Make sure they're not a woke person. Make sure they don't have some political agenda, some ulterior motive message behind it. You know what I mean? I will say there's a lot of times where I have made mistakes myself, all right? And you could say, oh, well, other people had ulterior motives that I supported, and that's completely understandable. But it's never good to listen to that. Now, sometimes you probably won't even be able to tell, oh, someone has an ulterior motive. It's hard to tell when someone has an ulterior motive, especially when the message sounds great. But when the message sounds really great and it's built off an ulterior motive when it comes to a political view, opinion, some statistics some people have heard of, or some media they got it off of, for the most part, it may be wrong or it's just thwarted to fit a certain political thing that has happened or a certain thing in life that's happened. I'll bring up a situation, too, of like there was a voice actor in the past who was wrongly accused of sexual assault, kind of the deal. I'm not scared to say it, but he was wrongly accused of it. And more evidence came out that this person who accused this voice actor was wrong. More and more evidence came out. But everybody who was on the media side or the quote-unquote woke people, they kept siding with the person who accused the person of sexual assault with no proof. Even their key witness literally said, I don't remember this situation happening, and I would have gladly helped if I knew this was even going on, but it didn't even happen. The woke mindset is very dangerous. I think it's great to be involved into the community, but if you're only involved by what you see or what you want to see, then you really aren't woke. You really aren't awake. You're sleeping with one eye closed, one eye open. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, if you didn't vote for Biden, you're off my timeline. You're an evil person. You're racist." All these different things. Now, for someone who's quote unquote woke, you're clearly sleeping on one side. Same thing as if you feel the same way about Trump. If someone didn't vote for Trump and you decided to say, well, this person clearly doesn't care about America or care about the safety of the rest of the people, you can't assume that on everybody who has voted Biden or voted Trump, all right? You can't assume anything like that. Even if it's not those two, I know those are the two current ones that had happened, that's why I brought them up. But it doesn't even matter that down the road, whether it's opinion or just like how I mentioned labeling, all right? A single opinion does not make you a person who automatically hates the world or hates a certain thing about somebody else. You need to see through both sides. I think it's messed up to automatically assume or have these kind of opinions in life to where you are just an absolute, as in you only keep the door open for the people who you agree with or see eye to eye with, rather than many people who may not see eye to eye to you, but can at least have a good conversation with you. Having an absolute opinion like that really just closes doors off to other people. And that's kind of what I talk about. I don't know if I talked about fake positivity or not, which I probably did, but this is where I'll talk about it because, well, woke mentality also talks about positivity, but only positivity onto the people who you agree with. How does it tell you when you treat other people you disagree with? It speaks a lot about your character. If you disagree with somebody and you treat them like absolute garbage, then you aren't a true positive person. Because of the fact that you couldn't disagree with somebody. You were like, man, I'm absolutely right, you're wrong, and I don't like you. I only welcome people in who agree with me. I saw a lot of people pretty much show those colors on Twitter. So yeah, I did the likely thing and unfollowed them or muted them. I don't want anything to do with them. And I ask you guys to not have anything to do with those kinds of people. True positivity is opening your door to anybody who, no matter what background, what political belief they have. It depends on who they are. You know, their political opinion or their opinion on life shouldn't matter. You know, it's like, it'd be the same thing as if I said, oh, you know what, you're gay or you're an atheist. I don't like you. You're disgusting. Get out of here. How many of you would feel terrible and feel like, oh, Derpy's just like another freaking Christian, another out here destroying everything, not caring about anybody but himself or the people who think like him. That isn't true kindness. It's fake positivity. It's like, hey, I encourage people. I want to be great. You know what I mean? But, oh, you have a different lifestyle than I do? Get the crud out of here. I don't want anything to do with you. That's a terrible mindset to have. It's horrible. Honestly, it's terrible. I would feel terrible if someone told me, man, I don't like you because you're a Christian. We don't see eye to eye. We're done. We're not talking. I'm like, all right, well, it's someone I wouldn't spend my time with. It's definitely someone who's not a positive person in your life. The real positive people in your life will accept you no matter who you are. All right. Now, however, if you expect people to accept your reality, then you need to dial back as well. I don't expect everybody to accept my reality. I have my own reality and that's it. I shouldn't force that onto other people. You see, a lot of the times with the woke mindset, what they'll try to do is, they'll try to force a mentality on top of you. They'll force their reality to you. It's terrible. And I'm not speaking through this now. People could probably misconstrue this and see this as like, oh, Derby's one of those conservative gunslingers. No, I'm not. I'm very in between. I'm very in between on life. I'm only saying this as the aspect of treating people right. I don't believe it should be for any of the other side as well. The other side of the coin, I believe we all should be in the middle of the coin so we can understand both sides, be of sound mind, sound doctrine. And I do believe, yes, in the far future, or if not now, if it's already probably happening, is that people will give up sound doctrine, sound mindset, and just start yelling and screaming about their own side, saying my side's the right side, instead of looking at both sides of the coin. The world will definitely create the woke to make you feel like you're right, or you may be in the wrong. But I will tell you, if you can speak a sound mind, understand different people have different opinions and views than you are, or than you have in life, and willing to accept that, but not have to force their reality or your reality on other people, then you're a true positive person, I believe. I believe you're a person who can have an open mindset, not be in the woke mindset. This world's version of woke mindset is terrible. It's a terrible version right now. Maybe in the far future, woke can be recreated. I love the idea of being involved around the world around you and know what's going on. I think that's great. But when it's only one view, it's terrible. You have to show the multiple sides of it. You can't just sit there and say, this is one absolute that you guys have to agree with, or you're terrible people. That's all I have to say pretty much for this Wisdom Wednesday, though. Are you truly awake? I will say some recaps for what I have to say, because there's some good recaps I would like to give on here. Is one, being woke isn't as good as it seems. No matter how good it seems or how much the world's going to tell you, yeah, be woke, be aware of all these certain things, they don't promote you to research your own stuff. They don't promote, hey, listen, I can be wrong. Some of them have a thwarted, view on life about it. They don't see through both sides. They see through the one side. You can't have true peace within life if you only see the one side. Especially when there's two different sides of people who want to have, peace, or who want to have a better life for people. Forcing your reality onto other people is a terrible idea. It's a terrible mindset. Forcing people to change their vocabulary, stuff like that, trying to get them to stop is not a good idea. Forcing people to stop is typically, for the most part, a bad idea. Now, we could talk about Martin Luther King. That person, Martin Luther King, the OG. I looked on the Twitter account for Martin Luther King expecting something good, and I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't good, because Martin Luther King's passed away, but people are using his name to thwart people's opinions now. I love the idea of Martin Luther King, and I think he did a great job. Nonviolence is one of the best things that you can do. Honestly, I still believe that to this day. We need someone like Martin Luther King to preach nonviolence. There's a way to get through this without nonviolence or forcing your reality onto others. But a lot of people refuse to see it. So just because the woke mindset seems like it's really good, doesn't necessarily always mean it does good for other people. Remember, the difference between true positivity and fake positivity. True positivity is open the doors for everybody, no matter their back view, a political opinion, or opinion on life, anything like that. The only thing that I would say you shouldn't open your door to, homies, is if someone's worshiping Satan and they're sacrificing people, all right? If they're causing harm to people, completely understandable. By the way, for the most part, words don't count as harm depending on certain situations. Some words are harm and can linger into people, but some words aren't. You have to know the difference between that as well. Don't force your reality onto others. Don't sit there and say, oh, I like you, man, I like you, I like the way you think, but don't like someone else because they can have a sound conversation with you, but they don't agree with you. Fake positivity is alive everywhere. On the online world, you'll see it almost all the time. Fake positivity exists out there. Steer clear from that. Just like the scripture said in 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. Don't just go with something just because it sounds good. Go with something because it's literally good or just and right. Explore all avenues as well. You cannot sit there and say, hey, listen, this is right, when you only see one side of the coin. One cannot talk about speaking what is right when they only see one side of the coin. You need to see both sides of the coin before making a right assumption and a right decision at least. Be open to new opinions too. I should have put this on the other part, but now I'm putting it here. Be open to new opinions. Be open to it. Now here's the thing though, don't try to force reality on other people. I've had numbers of people even tell me I should accept certain realities just because of the way they are. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no issues with anyone telling me this, but it doesn't mean I'm going to. You shouldn't accept realities from other people that are trying to force it on you. I believe in world peace and handle things peacefully. But if you're trying to force reality on other people and then cause violence to other people, no matter what it is, revenge is not a thing we can do, by the way. You cannot commit revenge or a vengeance. You cannot commit that in the right way. We're human. We're incapable of vengeance in the right way. So I want to ask you, after we recapped a little bit here, do you see anybody who claims to be woke, seems to say stuff that sounds really right? Does it seem like it's got a political view behind it? Does it seem like it's got a little push behind it? It says, hey, listen, there's a secret message behind this good sounding message. Be on the lookout for stuff like that. Be on the lookout for people who do that. Listen, if you even feel like I'm doing that, call me out on it. I'll gladly understand that. I'll be like, all right, if I'm doing this, I need to fix that myself. And I want to tell you this, and if you've been a part of this woke mentality, and you haven't realized that you've been sleeping with one eye open, or one eye closed, I have no anger towards you. I will say it's a terrible mentality to have, but we're all human, we make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't hurt yourself or don't beat yourself up over making these bad mistakes. It's very easy to fall into that woke culture and not realize I'm doing more wrong than good because I'm trying to do more good than wrong. But doing too much good or having too much control can really destroy and do more wrong than right. So be aware of that. And no, you're not a terrible person. And I want to say you're an awesome person. All right, you've got great potential inside of you. You can change. You can move on and have more of a sound mind. Don't follow the crowd of people who don't want a sound mind and just want to believe something just because it feels good. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it is good. You have to be aware. Have that strong heart about something of like, all right, is this truth or is this not truth? Be aware of these backwards opinions that are like, hey, listen, they have a little bit of a push. If you want people to talk about what is right, you need to know what is right. You can't talk about one side and say it's right without knowing the other side of the situation. And I want to ask you something. This is my last question before the end of this segment here, and it's this. Are you really awake? Do you really know what's right from wrong? I'll tell you this is that, for me, the only way I know right from wrong, the only reason I can speak the way that I am, speak the way that the life that I speak, the way that I live the way that I live, is because I've got a God that I trust. I've got something I can put my trust in and say, this is what truth is. This is what wrong is. This is how you treat other people when they disagree with you. How do you treat people when you disagree with them? Do you instantly think they're a terrible person, or do you try to think through an understanding perspective in life? Now, I'm a guy who looks at life very poetically, spiritually, you can say that, because I believe in God. Now, I would never force that onto anybody. But I will say, if you don't have anywhere else to go, or if you feel like, man, I don't know what's right or wrong, this is where I find my right or wrong. It's through God. Now, here's the thing. People can easily say, oh, Derpy, you said this because you want people to become Christians or something like that. No. Because here's the thing. I said all of that first so that I could tell you all, listen, you all can live the life that you want to live. I in no way ever want to have this bad message of like, oh, snap, I'm only saying these things to you because, oh, snap, my ulterior view is for you to become Christian. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love for you to become a Christian. That'd be great. But if you don't, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, they didn't follow my message right. No, it's just because, well, you may have gotten something good out of my message or the thing that I'm speaking. My goal with these is to speak the truth to you, but not force you to believe something you don't want to believe. And I really hope that you take that from this message. But I want to ask you, again, do you know what's right from wrong? Are you truly awake? Are you truly woke, I guess you could say? Are you the standard version of the world that's woke? Are you standard woke? I hope you all enjoyed that Wisdom Wednesday segment. I was honestly just felt on my heart I should talk about it. I've seen plenty of things that have just really said, you know what? I should really talk about woke as a thing. Because the thing is about life is that, like, I typically don't say anything about a certain subject until I have a lot of signs or at least things that really have proven to help me out towards to talk about these things. So it's crazy. Casting Crowns had posted the scripture, which I'll say the scripture again. It's 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. There's a lot of people like that who want to hear, who only want to hear, who only really want to just hear what they want to hear. There's a lot of people that sit there and like, I really only want to hear this. I don't really want to hear an opposition to my opinion. I want to be the one that's right. And in reality, we're all wrong as people. We can only find what is right afterwards. We are naturally born bad. I know I said that's the end of the segment, but I feel like I just had to keep talking this more. We are human. We don't know what's right off the bat from birth. You know what I mean? We aren't Jesus himself. We don't know what's right off the bat. We have to find that out. So I encourage you to find that out. Seek the truth. Seek the truth out. Don't cater to the woke mentality, all right? Now, this isn't some charged political opinion or me trying to get you all to be Christians, all right? It's for me to spread the truth, or at least speak to the truth to the people who need it. And I feel like in my heart that this is the truth. Don't adopt this kind of mentality into your life, because then you're going to think, oh, well, everything in life is like this, when in reality, someone who lives in a different place may not even have that mentality at all. There's multiple different situations. Next week, we're going to talk about another subject about celebration months or celebration days. It just really depends, and I feel strongly about it. After next week's, I want to kind of dial back on serious subjects, because here's the thing. I want to encourage you to do better, And here's the thing, I'm very good at pointing out the wrong, but not improving the wrong. You know what I mean? So I want to just try to, instead of just showing you the wrong, I want to show you a lot of more of just doing what's right, or encourage you to do more with your life. For the woke mentality thing, I encourage you that you're just a work in progress. All right, you're not a bad person. If you had a woke mentality, it doesn't mean you're a terrible person and can't change. Same thing as within the celebration months next week, or that I'm going to talk about. It's either next week or the week after next week. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. And you can always change. There's always change. You can always improve who you are. And I will say that I listened to WhizDum Wednesday Window. And I recommend that for anybody who's new here, who hasn't heard it before. Listen to WhizDum Wednesday Window. It's on YouTube right now, maybe even on Spotify, I'm not sure. And Worth as well. Because those are two powerful ones. Your worth can't be dictated from other people. And change is hard, but you can do it. And I believe you can. I went back to listen to my old ones. I was listening to a couple of friends, my WhizDum Wednesdays, and I realized that I've been a little serious for these last WhizDum Wednesdays. And I understand there's certain subjects you have to be serious on, like full on serious. And I'm serious throughout all of it as well, but I don't know. I feel that there's also, I don't want to spread a condemnation to other people. I want to encourage other people to do better instead of just say, hey, listen, you're wrong, flop. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that to people. I want to encourage people to do more. And so I want to make, after my next WhizDum Wednesday of talking about celebration months or days, I want to just truly talk about improvement, being better. And that's what I will do. So if you feel that my WhizDum Wednesdays are getting way too brutal and insincere in a way, I want to make a WhizDum Wednesday that's kind of on track and more on the right kind of mindset. So I hope that helps out. I've got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you homies want to check me out, I really do appreciate y'all being around and being super cool, being awesome about everything. Last WhizDum Wednesday I got called, and it was really cool. I was like, man, you spoke some powerful words, and I was like, thank you. It really burns me up, like fires me up to keep making more of these, because a lot of the times people just don't see certain aspects in life, or maybe they just don't expect certain things that I would say, So I feel like in my heart I should still keep making WhizDum Wednesdays, and I thank y'all for the encouragement. And I will say, I forgot to mention it, but last WhizDum Wednesday, I meant to talk about it, but it's WhizDum Wednesday Waterfall. If you missed it, it's a really cool concept. It's about going with the flow. A lot of the times we sit there and we just want to go with the flow of life because, well, it feels okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But, in reality, if you feel like you're sitting there doing nothing and it's perfectly fine, you're actually moving further away from the waterfall. You need to go against the flow and go up that waterfall. So if you want to hear more about that, it's in my last WhizDum Wednesday Waterfall. And I hope you all enjoy that. It's a really cool concept. I kind of thought of it on the spot, believe it or not. I only had 3 bullet points, kind of just like with this WhizDum Wednesday. I'm just speaking from my heart on this WhizDum Wednesday. But anyway, I hope you all enjoy that. I also have Spotify and SoundCloud. It's only up to date with 5 WhizDum Wednesdays right now until I can get more money to buy premium for SoundCloud, which, since the stimulus checks are coming by, I may buy 1 month of SoundCloud premium and then cancel my subscription so I can upload my other SoundCloud ones if I needed to. So everyone can hear them on SoundCloud or Spotify if you can, or if you would like to. The link should be in the description of the video you're hearing on YouTube, or Twitch should also have it in the panel section. So as well, I have Twitch and YouTube. YouTube, if you're listening on this on YouTube, you're always up to date. YouTube has all the WhizDum Wednesdays, and they're all up to date. There's a playlist for it if anyone's interested in it. If you feel like you missed one, they're all there, every single one of them. And on Twitch, I live stream these on Twitch for the most part. I don't think this one will be live on Twitch. The reason is I'm recording this on Sunday, and I gotta go help my Meemaw with some house stuff, so I may be too tired to make this, so I'm glad I'm making this now, But, so this one will probably just be posted on YouTube, but for the most part on WhizDum Wednesdays, I typically live stream them to have a good conversation afterwards. But for this one, I feel like it's also a dicey subject, so it's probably not the best to talk about it too, but I also probably won't be prepared and ready Wednesday, so this one will be scheduled to go up on Wednesday, but not me being live. So hopefully y'all can check those out. I would really appreciate it, especially Twitch and YouTube. I've been working hard on for the last few years, and it's been great. Twitch has been an awesome thing. I've been thankful for it, and I thank everyone who's been helpful with me for it. So I plan for some things in the future, and I hope y'all can stick around. Next WhizDum Wednesday will be about embracing who you are. That's all I'm going to say, though. So check that one out. That one actually may be more wholesome. All right, I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, listen, the first part of wholesome is who. How? I'm kidding. But last thing I want to leave you off is you're a work in progress. Keep moving forward. You can do it, and I believe in you. You're an awesome person. You can get through this. Just do not think there's an absolute opinion on life. Look into the situations before you automatically say something about them. Know both sides of the coins. To speak what's truly right, you need to know both sides of the coin. Don't say, speak up what's right when only seeing one side of that coin. Because it spreads a bad notion. It makes you seem like you believe everything that flows your way. Going with the flow in life. Staying woke is probably a part of the flow. Don't be a part of that. Don't be awoke. My questions to you is, are you sure you're right? And are you sure you're awake? Till next WhizDum Wednesday, I'll see you. And have a good rest of the week, good rest of the year. I don't really know. All right, next WhizDum Wednesday, whenever. Just a good rest of the whenever. All right, I hope you have a good rest of the 2 weeks. It'll probably be 2 weeks, if not next week. But see you, homies.